So I'll move to Mr. Akitunde. As the ES of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, I'm sure you're familiar with the Ready, Set, Work initiative by the Lagos State government to train final year students in LASU, as University of Lagos and Unilag. Yeah, Lagos State University and Unilag. So we're talking for sustainability's sake. Do you have any manner of plans for these graduates? Because they have this entrepreneurship program and the top 3 get funding. What about the rest? Do you have any plans? Do you synergize with the RSW team?
Okay, so I think we have to expand the conversation, right? So to answer your question, absolutely, right? So I run a fund on behalf of the Lagos State government. Now, if you go through Ready, Set, Work, you can always come to the Employment Trust Fund to get funded, right? So there's clear policy synergy where, yes, some people will get awarded some grants, but the large multitude of people that need funding will come to institutions like ours and even other federal institutions who are supporting small businesses. I think it's very important to place it on record that at national and subnational level, the amount of funding that has been mobilized towards supporting small businesses in the last 4 years is unprecedented in the history of this country. That is a statement of fact. Whether it's, and you know, people come and say, you know, trader money is vote buying, blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, you have to dump that stuff in Victoria Island where you live, right? Because 15,000 naira is a lot of money to someone in Ekpe, right? I learned in Ekpe, these guys go to the market once a week, right? They want to reduce their transport costs. They go to the market with 10,000 naira, right? That 10,000 naira limits how much stock they can buy. So when someone says, take a loan of 25,000 naira, what you are doing is you are trebling the stock in that person's store. You are increasing the capital available to that woman. You are ensuring that she can send her children to school and pay for medicine when the children fall ill. You know, so the first thing is you've got to recognize that we're in a society where 50,000 naira is a lot of capital. You know, people are starting, look, we gave some guy a loan of 100,000 naira. He's a student in Lasut. When the guy stood up to ask me a question, he said, you know, can I apply for this, your loan? I'm still in school. I said, oh, by all means, apply. I didn't know when the guy applied. Next thing I saw was the guy just sent me a text and said, I would like you to come and see my laundry business. He was a student. 250,000 I think we gave him. 25 people employed. Not only did they employ 25 people, he seeded a business for his little sister to start making smoothies in the same university campus. You know, it's not a multi-million naira business, but that guy is creating jobs for people at the bottom of the pyramid. Those are the poor and vulnerable people we should be solving problems for to start with. Now, with university students, with something like Ready, Set, Work, I think it's also important, and I think the point has been made that a lot of people now recognize that, you know, there's a limitation to finishing university and looking for a job. I mean, I certainly think I finished university at the right time. You know, at that time it was difficult, but if you did 1 or 2 tests, you get into a bank. But now it's incredibly difficult. Those jobs will not be, the structure of economies across the world changes very quickly. So 10 years ago, if you lived in the United Kingdom, you wanted to finish, end up working for Jaguar, working for Fiat, working in a car factory. Today, those jobs are largely going out of fashion. Today, I have a friend who all he does at events, he doesn't even sing, but he says he's a hype man, right? I didn't know what that was. I didn't think it was a career. But the guy certainly outends me significantly now because every Friday, Saturday, Sunday is on a stage miming, hyping, jumping around. I didn't think there was a career there, but there's a fantastic career there. You know, if you think about makeup industries today, for example, I mean, 10 years ago, would you have paid 50,000 to have your face made for one event? But I mean, some people pay it. I certainly hope my wife isn't, but some people pay it. You know, so there's I think the shape of work is changing, right? And one of the things that Ready, Set, Work is doing is following the change in that narrative. So we're not saying to people, you must go and work for PwC or Accenture or KPMG. We're saying to them, we'll teach you entrepreneurial skills. You can come to the Employment Trust Fund, get your first or second loan, but we're not going to lend you money forever. Because when you pay back that loan and show proof of track record, we'll then introduce you to a bank. Because again, we're not here to disintermediate banks, right? We're here to create first mile access for funding. So I mean, to round up the conversation, I think there's also, it's not even just the government intervention conversation alone. It's also how do you enable businesses, right? So if you think about a lot of work being done on the ease of doing business reforms, that for me is more transformative and more significant than some of the things we even pay attention to. How do you register your business? How do you solve contract disputes? These are things that small businesses face every day. You know, when you give a tailor an order and that tailor does not perform to specification, how do you get redress of some sort? Those are the fundamental things that you need to solve. And I think those are the things that, you know, as a government, I mean, of course, I'm speaking here first as a public servant, and two, I'm obviously speaking as a politician. But those are the things that the government of today is resolving, you know, and you cannot build a society without resolving those problems. Those are fundamental problems that affect how people can grow their businesses. And I think that those are the things that we're focusing on as a government, and it's important to put it on record. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask a question, and I just want a brief answer. So can we expect a continuity of the RSW program?
You know, it's very good. You know, just before you asked that, I noticed that the deputy governorship candidate of our party is here. So, you know, I think you find that one of the things we as a party will do is always have people with experience running our governments. So the programs are not specific to administrations. Government is a continuum, right? You can't say, oh, I did this, because this guy did it, the next guy is not going to do it. At the federal level, the government in Abuja is continuing and completing projects that have been abandoned by previous governments. We didn't say, oh, they didn't build this bridge, so we don't have to build it. So, I mean, I run a fund on behalf of the government, right? I'm going to do that job for a fixed term and go away. Someone is going to come and continue from where I've stopped. Someone is going to learn from the mistakes I've made and continue the program. So things like the Employment Trust Fund, Ready, Set, Work, these are all fundamental programs that will continue.
My next question is to you. So you've worked, your focus with the Nigerian breweries has been corporate social responsibility. So my question is, do you think private companies, through their CSR, can fill in the gap where the government isn't able to?
Okay, yes, so I think for sure private sector should contribute to developing Nigeria as a company, and that's what the concept of Afro-capitalism means. Afro-capitalism just means that private sector, no matter how small, should contribute to developing society. For example, Paliamo Bambini, which is my company, we manufacture locally made furniture for children across Nigeria. We have customers across different geopolitical zones, and I'm also a beneficiary of LSETF, so they've been very, very good in disbursing, and I didn't know anybody when I applied. But the truth is, private sector as individuals, even individual social responsibility is very, very important. Something as little as just turning off a leaking tap when you see water leaking. Those are things that you have to do as an individual. And as a company, I think you should dedicate a percentage of your funds towards developing the economy. For example, we as a company, we help children with developing digital skills. Other people can pick up other things. As a person, as an individual, I help women develop entrepreneurial skills. That's why I started the AGS Enterprise Challenge to fund female entrepreneurs across Nigeria. And it's also to mentor them, train them, and give them the visibility that they need. I also wrote this book, Accessing Grants for Startups, to help entrepreneurs across Africa access grants and other opportunities. So sometimes people don't have access to loans, but you have access to grants. And these grants are not just for Nigerians. And these grants are not just for, they're not just supplied by government or individuals. Global organizations are also giving out grants. But I noticed that people don't know how to apply for these opportunities. So if you get access to these opportunities, just respond professionally, and then you'll be able to take your business to the next level. So private sector, please, we all have a responsibility to contribute to developing Nigeria. Thank you.
So Yomi, my next question goes to you.